making 3 new what ifs later today, and you'll probably be seeing these what ifs tomorrow on, well, Sunday. Not Sunday, Saturday. You'll be seeing them on Saturday. But right now, I'm going to be working on a little bit of new what ifs. I'm also going to be working on what if Belle Cornell was Kratos. It's going to be a little bit of a very interesting what if. I was thinking about making this what if about a little time near when God of War Ragnarok came around, but then I just put it on the back burner. But the story's pretty perfected, and when that video comes out, it will be mainly little to no stuttering. But let's just dive right into this fan fiction. Last time I left off, Dekku was, well, fighting a big giant shadow monster, and a 6-foot bunny rabbit jumped in and saved him. As we get switched back onto this story, as we would have seen that this bunny rabbit would have looked at Dekku, as he would have smirked, saying, "You're the new Jack Frost." As we would switch to a time gap about 12 to 10 hours earlier. During that day, we would see that, well, the Easter Bunny was fighting some sort of shadow-like monsters in his lair, as he was kicking them down and basically just ripping them apart, as he was approached by a man in red, as he told him that is something you need to handle in Japan. As he would have made his way through the, well, winter, through the forest and the jungles around the world, eventually coming to Japan. As he would have made it to Japan, as he would have started on his mission, as he was told by the man in all red, aka, if you know the man in all red, Santa, as he would have been told to come across a certain event that was happening in Japan. It was, well, rumors and sightings of some sort of dark black energy moving around Japan, and to some quirk users and some heroes, they were describing it as a demon-like figure, and it even called itself Fear itself, as he was kind of, distraught about how he was supposed to feel about this, well, information, because they haven't seen this type of ratings or these charts since, well, the first couple of years ago when the first Jack Frost was born. But we would see that he would have started to walk around Japan, going through his tunnels and hiding through, well, society, and even going as far as to pick up some human clothes to blend in with society, since he looked like somebody with some sort of bunny mutation quirk, as he started to blend in with the rest of the crowd. Him eventually coming across a nearby, well, orphanage, as he would have snuck his way in there, as he would have started to look around, as it would be about near to middle of the day, as we would see that he was looking around, as he would eventually find some sort of demon crimping or hovering over this child. He would have looked closer, as this child would have been a believer in everything: the Tooth Fairy, the Bunny Rabbit, the Easter Bunny, the Easter Bunny, Santa, everything. He was a believer in everything mythical, even things like werewolves and vampires. He believed in everything. He was a true believer, one of the brightest and most, well, purest of heart children in the world. And there's only a few of those left, and they're the most powerful when it comes to the supernatural world. As he was watching closely, as he knew this kid, he knew this boy. He was there when he was born in the shadows. As he would have started to look closely, as he would have jumped in the way, fighting the demon, kicking him off of him before the demon could latch or sink its teeth into the child, corrupting the child and making it become bitter and cold, and making that child to, well, one of them, as they were slowly and surely going on with a plan that we will slowly and surely figure out what their plan is. As we would see that, well, they would start to fight against this demon, as this demon would start to lash out at him, punching and swiftly trying to kick him, but the Easter Bunny was too fast, as he would eventually take down the demon, cutting it through with one of his boomerangs. As he would start to look around, as the children were about to wake up from the ruckus, as he started to disappear, or he didn't disappear, but he just, dipped out of there through his tunnels. As we eventually find him on the other side of Japan, as he would have been looking for more and more of these demons. The whole day, him taking down more demons and eventually figuring out that Japan was a hotspot for these dark energy beings, as this is the biggest sighting they've ever seen in years, and this must be the big, giant place that chaos is going to hit in a few days, and maybe even a year. It takes a long time for these things to happen, but it is going to happen. Surely, it is going to happen. As we would see later that day, he would have come across a commotion on top of a roof, seeing a white-haired boy fly away from some sort of creature. As he would have jumped up there, as he would have taken out the creature with a huge left kick straight to the face, as he would have made the demon disappear. As he would have looked up, seeing this white-haired boy, looking closely and saying, "So you're the new Jack Frost." As we get switched to present time, as we get told that, well, the Easter Bunny is here for him, and he's here because of these things. As he would have taken him to a base area in Japan. And in this universe's version of the Guardians, well, they have bases or supernatural, pretty much bunkers in every single country, state, and city in the whole world. As they would have went to a nearby bunker that was designated in Japan. As they would have seen that it was really big, spacious. It was like a mansion underground. It was like a dungeon, like an anime dungeon. It had a false sun and everything, and it looked like it was outside. Kind of like the dungeon Bell Cornell was in when he fought that big giant monster that the ceiling was like diamond and he gave off the illusion of sunlight or night and day. As we would see that, well, Dekku would have been kind of confused on what the hell was going on, but he was told that the moon gave him some sort of second chance, and it was something different about him ever since that day. But we would see that, well, he told him that things are going to be different for the rest of your life, and that you're the second in this universe or this timeline, Jack Frost. As he goes on to a ramble that, well, he explains to us the true lore behind Jack Frost in this world. In this world, there was about 1,000 of hundreds of Jack Frost before you, and you are the second most powerful. The most powerful, the Jack Frost, was the first one. His name was... I'm not really gonna say his name because then I'll be exposing too much to you. Izuku Midoriya, if that's your name. I think that's your name, right? I hope the big man in red told me correctly. As Dekku says, big man in red. Hold up. So you're talking Bunny Rabbit, talking about Jack Frost, aka Jack Frost as in, like, the dude in all the, Christmas books, the dude that makes a winter and stuff like that. I do majority of that, and the moon has told me things, but he'd never told me exactly why I am who I am. I'm just freaking with people. As we would be told that the Easter Bunny was told that he's going to be the next chosen one to stop all this from happening, to stop chaos from reigning over and everything from falling down and the end of the world coming. Apocalypse has ran over the world for hundreds of years. Each year, the Guardians have stopped it and fumbled it, but this year they've become stronger, they've become faster. Each year, each decade, they become even more powerful, and so do we. But our power is becoming dwindled. As slowly, in a couple thousand years, we would have to find replacements. I will soon have to find a replacement. But I need somebody cocky, but yet witty, but also yet smart and intelligent. Someone that can give hope and actually truly inspire and keep children believing. But that's a time or a tale for another time. For you, every Jack Frost has been chosen by the moon and has been chosen to be brought back from death from the moon. As well, Dekku says, so I've been chosen to be the sacred one, the prophecy holder, the one supposed to save the world from the apocalypse. Yes, it's kind of like Judgment Day. First, the sky would become red and a bunch of other things would happen. But we want to stop that from happening. And you're the only few of the chosen ones that can help us, or the only few chosen ones that are alive at this time or point in history. It's only been about 2 cases where 2 very powerful guardians were still alive in the same timeline or the same year. As we would get told that he was brought here to Japan to look after him and to keep him safe. and train him and make him become faster and stronger and better, and push him stronger than he's ever became. As he was confused, saying, "So, how are you supposed to do that?" As we get switched the next day, as the Easter Bunny tells him that you need to start with your training, but before that, you can go to school. I understand that it's important for you humans to become heroes. Is that what you're saying? As Deku also asks, why are none of the heroes involved in this whole big world-ending thing? Easter Bunny explains that some heroes and some humans can't comprehend the true gravity of what we, prevent every decade and every year. But I want to tell you this. You, like man to man or supernatural to supernatural, some of us are powerful than others, and some of us can't comprehend the true gravity of certain things. That's how some humans have been able to fight alongside us and help us in this huge battle, but some humans have been too weak and pathetic, and most of them have died trying to help us, but they have died good deaths. But go to school, Deku. Go to school, Midoriya. I'll see you later tonight. As the Easter Bunny disappears, going through a tunnel. As Deku's confused, sitting in his room, as he gets ready for school, putting on his backpack and walking out of the house, saying bye as he would have left. As Deku would have found himself back at, UA. As he would have walked into class when they seen Aizawa to be nowhere around. As he would have sat down, as we would see that, Omet would have burst into the room. As he would have told the class to get ready, as they would be doing combat training. Bakugo being super ecstatic by this and being real pumped up to fight somebody. As All Might tells the class that, the bros make the clothes, or other way around. But he would have told them to get ready, as he would have pressed a button, making suitcases fall on the wall, it being, cases of their pro hero costumes. And Deku's hero costume being a little bit more of, the exact same fit Jack Frost wore in the movie. Tattered up, brown pants with ripped up, ends with ropes around them, and a blue hoodie. But in this canon, it would have been, kind of a baggier, jeans. Baggier jeans with, the pockets on them. I'll put a picture up right now. Baggier jeans with, pockets on them. With, no shoes, no nothing, because he feels more of a bigger connection to his ice powers and also the wind when he's barefoot. Basically, having a more baggier jeans and also having a, blue hoodie like he normally had in the movie. As we would have seen that, he would have been on his way to, out of the locker room, as he would have been in the near area where everybody was giving people comments on the hero costume. And Ochaku saying that's a pretty interesting costume, as Deku would have said it gives me more of a connection to the wind around me. As we would see that, they would have gotten ready, as they would have been teamed up the same, as we would get switched to the match. The interesting part of this story, normally the most interesting parts of my part twos to my Deku what-ifs. As we would have seen that, Deku would have gotten ready, as Ochaku and Deku would have been teamed up against Ida and Bakugo. Ida and Bakugo would have gotten ready, for this match, alongside Deku and Ochaku. Deku would have told Ochaku to stay close to him, as they would go together as a team and try to go up against Bakugo, because he knows Bakugo's probably rash and hard-headed, so he most likely might come out of the room first and try to take us both on by himself. So they make a plan to stick together and go up the stairs, and if they see Bakugo, they basically just jump his ass. Simple. So they get ready. As they're going up the stairs, they eventually come across a floor, as they start to, slowly tiptoe throughout the hallways, eventually coming across Bakugo. Bakugo turning the corner, as Deku would have seen his blonde hair, and as soon as Bakugo would have noticed him, he would have, shot off a huge explosion. Deku pushing Ochaku out the way, Deku getting hit with the explosion, but somehow the wind blocking, or basically, cushioning the explosion, as it would have dissipated the explosion enough for Deku not to die from this attack, as Deku would have been pushed through a wall, having his arm almost shatter or break. as Deku's arm would have been in really bad condition or really bruised up, as Deku would have started to basically shudder away and turn invisible, as Deku would eventually come behind Bakugo and would have straight up sucker punched the absolute soul out of him, as he would have started to hit him, kick him, bash him, and throw him around like a rag doll, using the wind to basically upper or push Bakugo up enough just for Deku to use a little bit of his actual just normal human strength to throw him around a little bit. As he would have started to tussle around with Bakugo eventually threw an explosion after explosion towards Deku, pushing him back into a nearby pillar, almost breaking Deku's spine. As Deku would have fallen to the ground, falling away from the pillar, as Deku would started to limp away. As Bakugo would have thrown another explosion towards Deku, as Deku had been on the ground, as he was about to, finish the job or knock him out with a small explosion, as he was so pissed off that he wasn't really focusing on his strength. And this blast would kill Deku. As Deku would have looked closer and closer and closer, and him seeing some sort of invisible force stop the blast, as it would have been some sort of white or pretty much, clear energy. Deku finding this time to use his ice powers finally, as he would have froze Bakugo solid, ending the fight between him and Bakugo. And Deku flying off or letting the wind levitate him up into the ground, pinning him back on his feet. Deku getting ready and starting to walk off, pretty much catching up with Ochaku, telling Ochaku, "You were no help, bro. Let's keep on going anyways." As he would have started to walk and get up the stairs. Them eventually coming across the bomb room, about to kick down the door and basically squat team jump Ida, as Deku would use the stick to freeze the door, as he would have kicked the door down, as he would have started to freeze the floor. Deku sliding on the floor, eventually coming across Ida, as he would have basically phased through Ida, grabbing his neck with the stick, as he would have chucked Ida into a nearby pillar, Ida having no real friction to glide or run on, as he would have fell into a nearby pillar, being knocked out cold. As literally being knocked out in the cold. So basically, Deku took down Ida with the minimum of no effort, as we would have also seen Ochaku would have been floating herself because she didn't want to slip and fall on the floor like a dummy. As Deku would have just told her to get off the ceiling, as she would have released herself, and Deku using the air or the wind to propel himself forward, making him fly and grabbing Ochaku basically Bridal style, Superman style, as he would have flew or levitated her out of the building, as they would have won pretty quickly and minimum to no effort, as Bakugo would have been defrosted later on by pretty much Todoroki. Todoroki had to use a little bit of his power to milk the ice off of him later on, but after that the rest of the matches would have gone similar the same, as you would have seen that Deku would have gotten ready to go home, as everybody would have been walking home, and he would be approached by Ochaku. So Ochaku would have started to talk to him a little bit, and eventually would have asked him if he was single, as she would be a lot more forward in this universe, in this timeline, and being a lot more really just not still nerdy, but just asking him if he's single. As he would have said yeah, she would have giggled and just walked off, her being still a little bit shy, but her not really saying why she asked if he's single or not, but that could get catching on a little bit. But as he would have just walked home, doing his normal thing and doing his due diligence, as Deku would have been walking home, as he would have heard a man clicking, as he would have looked behind himself, as he would have saw a normal looking man about 6 foot in a black coat with some sort of jagged spiky black hair, as he looked towards Deku, as he would have told him that, "So you're the chosen one, the strongest in this time, Jack Frost." As Deku would be confused, getting to a fighting stance, summoning his stick, as he would have looked towards him saying, "Who are you? How do you know who I am?" As he would have said, "Well, your bunny friend told you only the peak, only the tip of the iceberg. But it is so much more, so much complex. You don't even know. So much lore and story and backstory you barely even can fathom at this point. But your journey is coming. Wait, and soon you will find what it is you are destined to do, who you are destined to be." As the man disappears in a black mist, basically poofing out of the way, as Deku would have basically just looked around, being into a fighting stance. As we were seeing a couple minutes later, the Easter Bunny would have shown up saying, I heard a disturbance and that I sensed he was here. Dekku saying, who the hell was he? Who is he? As we're gonna leave it up here, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys like and subscribe. And as always, guys, have a blessed day. Deuces.